Un, deux, trois, hey, Charlie boy, you really make me wanna bomb it.
Hello, welcome to the second episode of Headliners. I am Dusty,
I'm Tim.
and so how's your week going so far?
Good. This has been a lot of fun, actually. It's been interesting to edit everything up, and
I'm sure it's a huge pain in the asshole.
it's a little bit of a pain, but it's fun.
I'm having a good time. I know that we got a lot of positive feedback, so there's quite a few people actually that got in contact with me about how things are going. And
Yeah. I was surprised by all the positive feedback too. Not saying that we're fucking awesome, but
I don't ever really expect. I don't ever want to set a bar too high. It may be because growing up as a fat kid, or like my crippling self-loathing and insecurity issues. But I always think that I'm horrible at absolutely everything I do, which kind of makes me strive to do better. I could be the best fucking drummer in the world, and I would still hate everything that I've ever recorded or anything that I've ever done. And that kind of works as motivation for me to get better at things.
so kids,
What?
don't take after Dusty.
It's probably horrible advice, yes, but at the same time, thank you guys for your positive feedback. I have a buddy that I grew up with, who he was in my high school band, and a couple of things. He told me that if I am going to only do this for him, to keep doing it because he wants to listen to our conversations for the rest of his life. So that's a good thing, I would say.
Yeah, my sister listened to it.
Really?
She was excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace?
Yeah, Grace.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Sarah, but we'll see.
So I want to make sure that I keep you involved. I feel like I spoke way too much last
See, and
last
I disagree. I understand what you were saying, but I feel like that wasn't the case because I felt like we were going really well back and forth. I don't know.
That's true.
Not to suck your dick or anything, but
You can if you want.
I felt like it was a good time.
So, you were talking last week about falling down musical rabbit holes and
Yeah.
things like that. And so I did take a whole bunch of notes about things. I fell down a little bit of a musical rabbit hole myself this week, but I don't want it to seem like I'm reading off of notes. So I might just completely trash all of this.
Right.
Did you take any notes at all?
No, I think it's better if we're just kind of going.
It is. Yeah, I think that would probably be the same. But what'd you do this week?
Well, I edited up YouTube videos. I started a YouTube account. The podcast account. It's on podbean.com, Headliners with Dusty and Tim. You guys can find us there. We have a Facebook page now. You should go like it right away and start interacting with us, telling us what you want to see, what you want to hear. Bands that are interested in coming on. Maybe bands you've heard of from around the area that you think would be fun for us to sit down and talk to.
Yeah. I'm really stoked about that.
Yeah, that's something we really want to do. Just because it's fun to get people's perspectives on things,
Yeah, it is. And speaking of my buddy Jesse, that really seemed to like the podcast last week. Did you see that little Facebook thing I put on the Facebook
Yeah,
page?
about being closer to Milwaukee.
Yeah, so thank you to all of you fact checkers and straight shooters out there. I wanted to correct myself and say that I purposely say the Chicago area because it's a huge pain in the ass to explain where I'm from. So it's easy for, like, if you're in the Northwest and you live in Spokane, you just go, yeah, I'm from Spokane, and everybody kind of knows it's the second biggest city in Washington, and we're on the eastern side and way far away from the West Coast. When I say I'm from Beloit, Wisconsin, they're like, oh, I've never heard of that before. Where's that? And then I have to go, it's south of Green Bay and north of the Chicago area and all that kind of shit. So it's a huge pain in the ass. I was born and raised in Beloit, Wisconsin. Thank you, Jesse, for calling me out of my bullshit.
I feel like you would own Milwaukee, though, because you know who's from Milwaukee.
A lot of people are from Milwaukee.
Yeah. but on the topic we were talking about earlier this week, the serial killer topic.
Oh yeah, Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer's from
There's
Milwaukee.
a lot of pieces of shit from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers?
Fuck that guy. Oh my god, fuck that guy.
I don't think he's from Wisconsin.
He's not, no. But anyhow, what are we talking? I don't want to do a serial killer thing this week.
No, I know. No,
So there's
foreshadowing, right?
there are plans for. I talked to Kyle, the guitar player from my band Wasted Breath. If it's okay with you, he
Absolutely,
would like to come and sit at this really tiny table.
He can sit between us.
He wants to talk about the band and his musical influences and what we're up to. And I just joined the last year and a half, but they've been Kyle and Gary have been playing together for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of stories, and I figured we could have him come on,
Yeah.
and then we could talk about serial killers.
Absolutely. I would love to do nothing more than talk about serial killers with
Nice.
with the two of you.
Great. So I would eventually also like to have maybe Rob or Ethan or Joel or
Yeah,
somebody come on from your band.
definitely.
So
And again, any other bands out there that you know of that we could maybe convince to come hang out with us for an hour or two and bullshit
not 2
with
hours. I don't have the attention span for any of that
for,
shit.
for an hour.
Okay, that's good. I can do that. Speaking of not wanting to go out of my way for social situations, so I'm very outgoing usually.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times where, when it comes to the band, I know there's business that has to be done, right? But getting myself motivated to do that is really fucking hard.
Like the tickets yesterday?
Yes. So, for instance, let's say, a venue's like, hey, here's some tickets, go, sell these and whatever. I do want to promote the band. I want to get as many people out to shows as possible. But then automatically people who know you are like, well, just stop by the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how about I just, no. How about I come to you, where are you, and I will drive across town.
You're in a weird place, too, because the two of you are very friendly. So,
Me and, who's the number 2?
the curly-headed one.
Oh, yeah. She's very outgoing and nice.
So it seems like people are always over here.
They are, yeah. We have a pretty open door policy when it comes to the house. But... And I want people to feel welcome in the house. You're like family to us, you know what I mean? You can show up anytime. But it's like somebody who I don't talk to all the fucking time. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'll just come by the house. I know I've said it before, and I mean it, that it's an open door thing and stop by anytime you want. But sometimes it's like, I just don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I had to lie today. So Chase is gonna
Good job,
see
Dusty.
this. Yeah.
You're admitting to it on camera. That's a terrible idea.
I had to lie to Chase today, and he's like, "Oh, I'll just come by your house and check out your drums." And I'm like, oh, "It's gonna be like a whole fucking thing." And I had a whole day of work, and I just want to come home and I want to drink my beer and do the podcast and go to bed. So I was like, "No, I got to work late." I didn't have to fucking work late, Chase. I apologize.
What a dick.
Yeah, but then I drove all the way up to his house and didn't sell him a ticket anyways. I just went up there and talked to him for 5 minutes and came home.
Did you forget?
No, his roommate is in another band that's playing that night, and I didn't want to steal any profits from Foxtrot. So there you go. You guys can have my ticket sale.
There you go.
It's all yours.
It's very admirable of you.
I can be a good guy.
All right, so I brought up the topic this week where I was talking to you. We were talking about what we were talking about this week a little bit or whatever. Goth music. I don't get it. First person to admit that. I don't get it. But I want to, because there are bands out there like the Depeche Mode, The Cure, Bauhaus. Is that the name of the band?
Yeah, in the Midwest we always called him Bauhaus. But that could be my Midwestern accent. I'm not sure. So let us know. Is it Bauhaus or...
Bauhaus? I thought that's what I said.
Yeah.
But I want to like them. I really do.
I don't
but
know.
I don't know where to start. So
this is a whole thing.
I know it's a whole thing, and I want to be educated on the goth scene. I feel like a little goth girl, and that I should I should be more educated because I want to know. I just found out. I felt like an asshole about it. I was talking to Ethan, who is the singer in my band, who Ian Curtis was, because we have a song title, Ian Curtis, and I did not know that Ian Curtis was the lead singer of Joy Division, and I'm sorry, I felt like a dick, because apparently he hung himself, and the song is about him, so...
I didn't know you had a song called Ian Curtis.
We have a song called Ian Curtis, and I didn't know who that was.
Well, I think it's about time you learn.
Well, absolutely, that's...
Right. So, we only have an hour, so I'm not gonna do all the fucking notes that I went through.
No.
But you said, oh, like, I want to talk maybe about, like, more alternative music and bigger bands, and so my go-tos are always, like, Bauhaus, Joy Division, like, stuff like that, because they're, like, two of the big ones in that, but... there's a lot of shit that I don't know. There's a lot of shit that I never got into.
So I'm embarrassed to say this. I had never even heard of Joy Division. I went and listened to some of their songs, and I now realize who they are. Mm-hmm. So, like, there are a couple songs I know by them. But me and my buddy Ross, when we went to London for the music festival, me and Ross went to London for a music festival. It was fucking awesome.
This is a whole... You got to tell that whole story now.
Well, my buddy Ross won tickets. You got that?
So, before you get started on your story, we were having band practice, and Kyle was over, obviously, and I hate drinking out of cans, so what I would do is I would take a hammer and, like, a screwdriver or a pen, and you know, like, when you get a coffee from, like, Dutch Brothers or Starbucks or whatever, and it doesn't pour into your mouth fast enough, you got to make a hole,
yeah.
Right? So I'd take a screwdriver and I'd pound the screwdriver in, and Kyle's like, what the fuck are you doing? And showed me that trick. So those of you who are just listening and not watching...
Dusty is taking the can opening, the mouth of the can, and making it a lot bigger with his thumb.
Yeah, so you got to be really careful. Because
I was going to say, you cut the shit out of your finger.
Yeah, so Kyle took my beer, and for like a week was... like doing that for me, and I felt like a child, like, Daddy, can you open my beer, please? And he would. And so now I figured out how to do it. So now I can slam beers like the big boys.
Okay,
so you won tickets.
So my buddy, I didn't win tickets. I didn't do shit. But my buddy Ross won tickets to go see like this 2-day-long music festival back in 2009. It was Sonosphere. It was in the London area. And I think Joy Division was on one of the days, and I could not have cared less. And I feel really bad about that, because I remember we knew that for some reason it was a big deal, but I had never heard of Joy Division. And I think it was Joy Division or one of the other big ones, but I don't know what they are.
I don't think the timeline would have worked out right for you to see Joy Division, but it could have been without Ian Curtis.
Maybe.
I mean, you're trying to get a peek at my notes.
I am, because I know... Sorry. I know it was one of these bands, and I just didn't know who the fuck it was.
It could have been, like, Ministry.
Killing Joke. It was the Killing Joke is what it was.
To be honest, I never really got that deep into Killing Joke. I knew some of the hits and stuff, but I probably wouldn't have gone out of my way to see it either.
I don't even know the hits.
Yeah.
I always thought goth music was like Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails and like.
So this is exactly what I wanted to talk about, which is great.
It's industrial music, but I always thought that was goth music.
It comes down to, and I'm trying not to like do a fucking hour-long introduction to alternative music or to like an art class. I'm a big nerd about this kind of stuff, but. It comes down to the perception of art is what it is. And we even had a conversation about this today because you and I have the same favorite sports team. We feel the same politically on about most things. We dress the same a lot of times. Well, you're in your work clothes today, but
fuck off.
We're very similar in that we barely have any music in common that we
Yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah, no, it's hard to find music that the two of us can listen to peacefully.
Yeah, there's like, 90s alternative and that kind of stuff, but outside of that, there's not a whole lot.
I do love 90s alternative. I always joke that had I been born in the 90s, well, okay, I was born in the 80s, but had I been like 16 in 1993, I would have been like a gay man. Because my favorite music from the 90s is like terrible techno and like the shit that you hear in like movies
Be my
making fun of.
lover,
Yeah.
should be my
I
lover.
love that shit, and I don't know why. But it's always the music people
Catchy
make
as
fun of.
fuck.
It's super catchy. And then of course I love like the grunge scene and all that crap from that time too. But yeah, I would have been a gay man in the 90s.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. I always thought to myself, like, I'd be like an 18-year-old goth girl, and I still have that person on the inside of me. I'm just stuck in like an old, fat, perverted man. But anyhow, it comes down to how you perceive things. So as I was saying, I don't know a whole lot about quote-unquote goth music or like the darker stuff. And I think I know the main ones. I know like the big popular shit, and there's a whole bunch of stuff beneath the surface that I missed out on. But it comes down to how you got into the scene and what other music you're listening to.
You know what kind of blows my mind about goth music too is I didn't realize that like bands like Depeche Mode and The Cure were like goth music until I think maybe a conversation I had with you, or until South Park made fun of it. Because to me, I always thought goth kids were listening to like...
Did I just draw on my face?
No, you're good. I always thought goth kids were listening to like death metal. And I think some of them were, but like the stereotypical goth kid from the 80s and 90s is listening to fucking The Cure. And when you listen to The Cure, I don't really feel like it's all that fucking depressing.
You have to, like I was saying, you have to approach it in the correct way, or in a certain way, and different albums are always different and things like that. You were on last week, I forgot what part of the conversation last week we were like, I'm just going to call them a fucking metalcore band. Were you talking about
Cold-Blooded.
Cold-Blooded? Yeah. And I just, in passing, I said something like, I don't understand subgenres, especially when it comes to metal music. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly why. Like, I don't know if, like, we've been using the term goth for the last few minutes, but, like, I don't even know if that's, like, a correct fucking term. You know what I mean? Because it depends on where you're approaching things from. And I've said that a million fucking times, and I'm going to get, like, into explaining it.
Well, I see what you're saying, but my big comeback or whatever is everybody considers The Cure goth music, right? That is
Sure, yeah.
unequivocally what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
Goth kids listen to The Cure. I don't see it. I still don't see it. I mean, I tried. I tried, and I enjoy some of The Cure's music, but I don't see it as so fucking gothy. I don't know.
I sent you a Spotify
You
playlist.
did, and it was a good Spotify list. And I actually learned that, from that list, I learned that Nine Inch Nails covered a Joy Division song. I didn't know that.
For the Crow movie?
Was it for that? See, I'm
Someone take these dreams away.
no,
Keep
it was,
calling me.
yeah, yep.
Do-do-do-do, bow, 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 bow.
Rivet.
Fucking such a sexy song. Oh my god.
It's a good song,
Like,
but I had heard it from Nine Inch Nails before. I didn't realize it was Joy Division, so.
Yeah.
Again.
This is all great, like, baby making music. I'm gonna get started, okay?
Okay.
And I just thought of a way to explain this. So, the way that you perceive art and music is based on your taste, right?
Yes.
So, let's say you're in a band, and you're like, I'm going to be in a band like Joy Division, right?
Okay.
Or Nine Inch Nails.
Okay.
Something that's more relatable to you. So, and the people who are just listening aren't going to get this, but I will try to use my words to explain it much better. So, you have your idea as to what the perfect Nine Inch Nails band is going to be like, right?
Okay.
So you have this circle, and the closer you get to the center of that circle, the more perfect it's going to be.
Okay.
But then you are a person who grew up in Spokane. You're 30 years old,
31.
31. You grew up listening to metal, right? So I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up listening to punk rock and metal and country. And so my idea is going to be kind of over here. And so our circles, this is Tim's circle with the little arrow.
They're not going to be able to see that. He's making
Yeah.
a Venn diagram.
Pretty much, yeah. But what ends up happening is that, like, you're working towards what you think is the best that you could possibly be, right? But there's way too many facets to there's no such thing as perfect. And so the way that you perceive it is totally different than how I perceive it. And not only is how I perceive something different than you, but our ideas of perfection and what is something are constantly changing. So you're never going to hit that fucking bullseye. There are bullseyes all over the board. And what might seem like an awesome dark industrial band to you is going to sound poppy as fuck to somebody else, depending on where you're coming from and
Fair?
how you're approaching things. So, when it comes to, and this is, I'm not going to read off my notes the rest of the night, but when it comes to how I approached it and the reason why I know the bands that I do and the reason why you aren't aware of them is because we talked way too much about the Misfits last week, and I'm wearing their fucking shirt again today. But I grew up listening to punk rock, so it was like the Misfits and TSOL and the Damned and the Cramps and 45 Grave and Ultravox. And I was going to go through all of that stuff and give you like, oh, they came out in 82 with this song, and then fucking TSOL had this dark thing. It's horror punk. It's like its own little subgenre. But I'm approaching from that side, and so if you listen to the Misfits, you're going to listen to early AFI hardcore music. If you listen to the Misfits and to Danzig and to AFI and TSOL, you're going to see a Joy Division shirt at a fucking show, or you're going to, when you're flipping through records at the record store when you were kids, you're going to pass by these bands. But the early 80s, late 70s and early 80s was like a big time for that kind of shit. But I don't know if you knew this. Joy Division, the members of Joy Division met at a Sex Pistols show.
No, didn't
Yeah.
know that.
So they met at a Sex Pistols show, and they started a band, and then he ended up killing himself, as they were saying. They turned into New Order.
So that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, so Joy Division is New Order.
Oh, okay.
You're so fucking bored, and I've lost the entire audience. So
No.
we're moving on.
I
past
just
the
didn't
subject.
realize. Anyways, finish your train of thought, because I liked where you were going with that.
The train of thought is that, like, I think that dark music has been going on since the 1950s, and there have been, there's Elvis and there's all the shit that was popular, but like Hassel Adkins had an album that came out in 1957 that was about decapitating a girl and sticking her fucking head on the wall, and it's been around since then. Like Screamin' Jay Hawkins used to have shows where he would dress up as Satan and would dance around and scare all the white straight. He was this big black guy who was popular in the rockabilly and early rock and roll scene, and he would put a fucking bone in his nose and like do the whole African American stereotype,
I think I've seen that guy. Doesn't he do
like over the top racist shit. But
didn't he do like a version of the Witch Doctor or something like that too?
possibly his big song was "I Put a Spell on You."
Oh no, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
that's
but
what I was thinking.
He would get up on stage and he'd lose his fucking mind, and he'd get in people's faces and he'd scare the shit out of the straights, and that was his thing.
So goth music of the 50s, right there.
Yeah, he used to dress as Satan and scare the shit out of people at his shows. That's what he fucking did.
How do you feel about bands dressing up? I know, so we talked a little last week about how you hate Slipknot, which is fair. I get that. How do you feel about bands in general? Because one of the first dates me and Dusty went on, we went and saw Mushroomhead
That was the
together.
first time we ever hung out.
It was. We saw, well, he was there for
Doyle.
Doyle, and I was there as a joke to see Mushroomhead, but Mushroomhead
As a
was
joke, fuck you. You like Mushroomhead.
I know one Mushroomhead song, and I can't tell you what
They
it's
put
called.
on a great show.
It was a fucking crazy, amazing show.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about bands dressing up like that? Like, do you feel like it takes away from the music, or do you feel like it adds to the music? Because when you're talking about the Hawkins guy, that seems like it would be a really cool piece to see now.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about it now? Like,
If I tell you my side of the story, will you share your opinion?
well, yeah, absolutely.
I take it on a case-by-case basis. It really just depends. I mean, you don't see any of that shit when you're listening to a record. But it was a spectacle. I mean, imagine going to a concert, a country show in, the late 40s, early 50s, and seeing, like, Jerry Lee Lewis literally jump up onto the keys of his piano and scream about fucking teenage girls.
I was gonna say, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, like,
Isn't that his claim? Well,
he
not
was
his claim to fame, but
he was one of the very first, like, wild men, and it was like that was the spectacle. That was just him letting the music take over. I don't. I think it's. I can't find the words. It's two separate things. I mean, look at a band like Kiss, where they had the whole stage presence shit, but then they still had to have the catchy riffs to sell the records. And if it wasn't for them having catchy shit, they never would have had the opportunity to dress up like clowns and be idiots on stage.
yeah. So your case by case is how you feel about it.
I think from the outside, if you see somebody like, and this is talking about things that are more your taste, if it is somebody like Slipknot or Mudvayne or Mushroomhead,
You keep going back to those. It's not like none of those bands you just said are bands that I'm in love with. They have
but
certain albums that
you
I
knew-
enjoy, absolutely.
right? Okay,
But
I don't know anything about any of it.
okay,
I know that Jay Weinberg is playing drums for Slipknot.
yeah,
I know that Corey Taylor
yeah,
is a singer.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't. The reason why I'm just trying to relate, like we said earlier, like we don't have a whole lot of music in common, so a lot of musical taste.
That's true.
But when you see it from the outside, you're like, "What the fuck is this? What a bunch of fucking douchebags!" And it automatically will turn somebody like me off because, this is a great way to explain it. So. I was always the kind of person that was like, you just wear your fucking blue jeans and whatever shirt you don't care gets destroyed to a show.
Right.
And so if you're going to, me especially as a big fat sweaty drummer, this is a show shirt. Like the shirt I have on, I've had for 10 years. You can see my belly button through it. It is disgusting because I wore this to play shows in because I was like, well, if it gets destroyed, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
That rock and roll or punk rock idea or that look was maybe started by the Sex Pistols, who were put together by a clothing company who didn't even like come together naturally. They were fucking put together, and a bunch of people slammed into the same band, and somebody who was a fashion designer was like, put these clothes on and you're gonna look cool. And it was a fucking act. It was a facade. They had like the rebellious lyrics and the fuck you attitude, but like the get up, I just rolled out of bed and showed up here was totally fabricated.
The Sex Pistols is Johnny Rotten, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious. Okay. So I actually just it's funny that you bring them up. I just did like a whole bunch of research on them. I watched a live show that they did in London from a couple of years ago, and
The more recent one?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. And it was interesting because like all the research I did, I didn't realize that bands were kind of put together. Not that they were. I don't think they were put together like from what I understand, Sid Vicious was the bass player, and he could not play to save his life. They actually had people come in and try to teach him how to play. I think Gene Simmons tried to teach. I'm not even kidding. I think one of the things I read was that like Gene Simmons tried to teach Sid Vicious to play bass, and he was so fucking high, big heroin junkie apparently.
Yeah.
That Gene just gave up and didn't fucking even worry or try anymore, and that during their live shows he never played anything correctly, which is interesting
Yeah.
because that's like one of the biggest punk rock bands that.
I mean,
there's like the Ramones, and then there's like the Sex Pistols, right?
there's that thing that it. Going back to my thing about it all depends on your personal taste. Like Stephanie, when we first met, was like the punkest motherfucker I knew, and when we were first dating, and she fucking hates all of that shit. And I never got into the Sex Pistols because I thought they were garbage, but that's my own personal. I don't know anything about the Sex Pistols, so everything that you said very well could be true, or it could be bullshit for all I know.
And I don't know. I just
But,
fall down these rabbit holes.
Right.
Back to that where
I do know that they would literally unplug Sid at shows.
sounds right.
They had a bass player that would record with them, and then he would show up out of his fucking mind on drugs, and they'd put him up there because he was like the cool cat,
Yeah.
and they would turn him down or not plug him in at all, and he would just be up there and dance around like a fucking idiot. And it all comes around to like that just being bullshit. The whole like fucking punk rock thing is all fucking bullshit. And the whole, remember when you were a kid and everybody, oh, you're a fucking poser if you don't like some band. No, you're all grow the fuck up. It's all it's an oxymoron.
I saw the Murder Junkies are going to tour.
Fucking Christ.
Did you see
I don't
that?
know the Murder Junkies.
Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies.
Oh.
Obviously, Gigi Allen is dead, but the Murder
Right.
Junkies apparently are touring.
Yeah, this is something I was going to bring up next time we have a podcast. But we went to the Museum of Death in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get Gigi Allen's corpse, which we'll talk about that next week.
No,
But,
I think I actually heard Stephanie talking about that. That's super interesting
yeah,
and pretty fitting.
right. It's fucked, man.
So
So
most people should know who Gigi Allen is, but if you don't, fucking Google that shit. Google it right now, and don't just go Google Gigi Allen and see what comes up.
there's a couple awesome documentaries about him actually, and I used to hate him. I don't like his music. I used to fucking hate him as a person, and now I'm starting to understand. Now as I get older, I'm starting to understand. So we'll talk about this shit.
He still kind of seems like a piece of shit, but
He is
or
a piece
was,
of shit.
but
Yeah, that's the whole.
I know, but it.
So the thing about like putting on a fucking mask and getting on stage,
Yes.
I did not get the Slipknot thing when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in high school and that was popular, I didn't like the music at all. And then, but I kind of get it. I had a buddy Johnny who was really into them. It was probably his favorite band, and he would put it on this DVD every time we would go. Well, it was a VHS tape actually.
Yeah.
This was before DVDs. I'd go over to Johnny's house, and, he'd smoke weed, and I'd sit there and watch him put on the Slipknot VHS, and it was a fucking spectacle, man. It was like the circus came to town.
Right.
And I totally get that. And when we saw Mushroom Head,
Yeah.
when we saw Mushroom Head, it was a great fucking
It
show.
was so fun.
I don't know why they need two singers.
I don't know why they need anybody in that band. There were literally two people playing snare drums on the side of the stage, which didn't make any sense, but it was fucking awesome still.
I thought that there was a DJ too, right?
I think so. I honestly don't. I know so little about Mushroom Head
Why did you go to that show?
because me and Drew like to go see shitty bands. We went and saw.
Was Drew there?
Yeah, Drew was. The reason I went originally was me and Drew have this thing where we like to go see just garbage bands for fun. Just to say we did,
So
I
they
guess.
come out to Waste of Breath shows.
Well, we do. No, but like Power Man 5000's another one of those we went to because,
I was under the impression that you enjoyed all these bands that you went
No, I mean,
to. Why would you spend the money?
because no, we never spend money. It's like when a shitty band comes to town, it costs $15 to go, and that's less than going to see a movie, and you get to go for like 4 hours and watch like shitty bands, and you hear one song that you remembered on the radio, and then you joke about like them just playing that. Like when we saw Power Man 5000, the joke was they're gonna play Worlds Collide 16 times in a row, and everybody's gonna lose their shit, and that didn't happen. But how amazing would it have been? We went and saw Filter, and I the whole time I was like, they're gonna play like 2 songs, because who fucking cares about Filter? And they played like 13 songs, and only 2 of them were like songs that I fucking knew. It's not about. It's about getting to go see bands like Orgy play
Oh, they played
Dreams
at the
in
Viking.
Digital or whatever.
They played at the Viking, right?
Orgy did play at the Viking.
Did you go to that?
No, we went and saw them at the same place we saw Mushroom Head. At the
The Palomino,
Palomino is what it was
which is
called.
no longer a thing
But
anymore.
I mean, fuck, dude, how it was awesome seeing them play Blue Monday and whatever the fuck that song's called, Dreams in Digital or whatever. It was fun seeing them play that because
This
it
is
was.
Orgy we're talking
Yeah.
about? Okay.
So we just like go and see shitty bands like that because it never costs a lot of money and it's fun. Crazy Town was just in town.
Did you
I wanted to so bad.
Foxtrot, who we played our last show with,
Yeah.
and we're playing this next show with?
Did they play?
They
with Crazy-
opened. They opened. And then,
God, I got a million questions.
well, you're gonna meet him. So you're gonna meet all the guys in Foxtrot. But Braden, the drummer, we were at the last show outside, and he's out there having a cigarette, and we're talking, and he's like, "We sold more fucking tickets than they did." And I'm like, "That's fucking rad." And I was like, "That's great news that like a local band is doing so well." And he's like, "No, we sold like 5
20 tickets. I wanted to go so bad. Just because, like, when are you going to get to say that you saw fucking... you got to see Crazy
That's
Town.
come my lady, come my
Yeah,
lady.
and they have one other song, and Drew's going to be pissed that I don't remember what it's called, but I don't remember what it's called.
I doubt you can piss him off as much as I did last time I saw him.
Well, you did knock him in the balls, and it was hard, and I understand. I didn't think he was going to lose his shit like that either, but he lost it. I saw that fire in his eyes.
I had to put my beer down because I was like, we're probably going to have a fight now in Sam's fucking kitchen.
Yeah, that
And-
was,
Good thing the kids weren't home.
yeah.
I was like, oh, God, here we go.
Well, to be fair, and he can deal with it. In the moment, yeah, it sucked, but he did that same shit to me, and he saw the same fire in my eyes once. It was with a fucking snowball, and it was at work.
You got mad at him?
Oh, yeah. There was that fire in my eye. I was ready.
Gotta take it easy, man.
Well, no,
You
it
gotta
was...
smoke some more weed.
This was a long time ago, so obviously we're over it. But and, you know, you get pissed for 5 minutes and then you're over it and whatever.
It sucks. I was just thinking about this. This week we have a dog. We have 3 dogs, but one of them, his name's Waylon.
3 dogs and 7 cats, and right?
3 dogs, 2 cats, and a big fat fuck, which is me. I'm the big fat fuck. But anyhow, Waylon's tail. He's a chocolate lab. He's fucking crazy. Just so much energy. It's probably because I don't throw the ball as often as I should and all that kind of shit, right? It's not his fault. It's my fault. But his tail, it maybe twice a day.
Hit you right in the
No
balls.
joke. And
Yeah.
it's like you've gotten it on the leg before. From
I
his
think
tail.
I've gotten it in the balls before. Yeah, that's not pleasant. That's a
And
big dog.
it's if he wasn't so cute, like if he were like a poodle or something, I would have strangled that fucking dog. Like, yeah, no doubt he would be fucking dead. But it's he gets you, and then you're like, oh my god, and then he does a sad face at you, and you'll get all sappy. But I was trying to explain.
That's how I treat my son.
You just hold his head underneath the bathwater, right?
Just until the bubbles stop, and then pull him up really quick so that he can get that last breath of air. He'll be fine. Brain damage is not a real thing. Fake news.
Right. But I was trying to explain to Steph like what it's like to get hit in the balls, and there's not a way to describe it. It's not as bad as some men make it sound,
Yeah.
but it sucks ass. I've never gotten hit in the balls, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking knock your fucking teeth out.
It's always that delayed feeling too. It's like the
I'm gonna
initial.
barf. It
Yeah, no,
It's-
the initial pain. You're like, oh shit, and then it's like you just
Nausea.
know what's coming, and you're like, well, fuck me, man. And then you start feeling like you're gonna fucking throw up, and yeah, it's the worst. I mean, it sucks.
So I went to the store and I got 2 6-packs because I was planning on drinking. It's my Friday night,
Right.
and you're not drinking. I always thought that you were you drank last time.
Well, I am drinking. I got my beer. It took me an hour to finish my beer last time. I'm not a big drinker, man. I drank a lot when I was younger.
Which do you like better out of the two? If you had Olympia in a while,
I'm halfway through a Hams. I promise I'll get through an Olympia, and then I'll tell you at the end which
Okay.
one I like better.
they're both garbage. I went to that new hipster place downtown.
And all they had was Hams and Olympia. That actually makes perfect sense. That and then
I got shitty beer because I thought that you would drink shitty beer because you don't drink nice beer with me. So I prefer the IPAs and all that kind of shit, but I get this because that's what people drink.
I have a firm belief, and I'm gonna be told that I'm wrong, and I get told that I'm wrong all the time. But I honestly feel like nobody actually likes the taste of an IPA. Nobody.
Okay.
I feel like IPAs are beers people drink because they think they're cool.
Yep, I like to put on my horn-rimmed glasses and my fucking Irish hat and drink myself only Hams and IPA.
And Pabst.
And yeah, I do drink a lot of PBR. I don't know how to answer that. I
know it's so okay. I know it's not true.
I didn't used to like IPAs, but they do grow on you. It's like how beer grows on you. You know, when I was a kid, I didn't party. Like I didn't drink at all. I'm making up for it now, but I didn't drink at all until I was 21. And
Wow.
yeah, I went fucking nuts after that. But
I was 12.
yeah.
See, I think that's why I don't drink anymore, because I was 12 years old the first time I got hammer drunk, and I just don't like doing that anymore.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the hangovers definitely get worse by the year, but that's why you just don't ever stop drinking.
Dude, I could drink like 2 or 3 beers, and I'll still wake up with a fucking splitting headache tomorrow, and I don't know why.
So you're gonna have a hangover from like.
It's not like a hangover, but it's like I'll wake up and I'll feel like shit.
That belch smelled like dog shit. Did you did you smell that?
No.
I'm blowing the next one at you. So
No.
Get ready for it.
Please don't.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what you drink because we've been seeing each other on a regular basis for how many years?
We're
now?
getting pretty serious now, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's coming up on 3 years.
Okay. And we'll go out. I figured you like. Is it Crown Royal?
Dude,
Chilled?
I like whatever's cheap. My drink when I turned 21 and when I was like working at bars and still getting all fucking hammered all the time was Crown Royal, shaken. Not over ice, but shaken with ice, and then because it adds a little bit of water, it gets rid of the kick.
Oh, that's what it is?
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
Yeah, so you know when you take a straight shot of whiskey,
Yeah.
you get like that serious, intense burn. You know, like
The point of fucking drinking whiskey.
yeah.
That
Well,
you're avoiding.
you shake it with ice, and you get rid of that burn, and then you just get the flavor of the whiskey. You actually, I was told by somebody, I don't fucking know, at a bar, I think Tomato Street, but I don't actually know, that you add a little bit of water to whiskey to open up the flavor. Like, so if you're
That could be.
tasting whiskey, you add water to it.
That could be. You know what we should do? Since we're talking about having guests, we have some friends, the Garrity's, who are like, no joke, whiskey connoisseurs.
Yeah, we
And,
could do it. That would end
Amazing.
very amazing.
But my point is, it's been 3 years and I don't even know what your drink is.
Dude,
And
I
I
don't-
order you drinks and you do the, oh, that's disgusting, or oh, I'm not doing that, or I'm not drinking tonight. I have nothing to do tomorrow. You're the excuse guy.
They're not excuses. It's just
I don't think you like anything
Well, no, I don't.
as far as drinks go. I mean,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
you're
you
right.
just like your Red Bulls.
I haven't drank a Red Bull in like 4 months.
Do people know why? Do you want to hear the story? I want to hear the story.
It's not because of the kidney stones. I know where you're going, but I quit drinking them probably 2 months before I got the kidney stones. So maybe I haven't drank a Red Bull in like 5 months. But yeah, like I quit drinking Red Bulls because I was spending like $12 or $13 a day on them. That shit adds up quick. And then yeah, unfortunately, I had kidney stones like 2 fucking weeks later. It was the worst thing that I've ever experienced
Did they
in my
tell
entire
you?
life.
Did they tell you that was adding to your kidney stone issue?
No, it's like an acid. There's a certain acid that's in a lot of things that you wouldn't expect. Like, it's in spinach. It's only in brown sodas. So like clear sodas or like
Yeah.
Ruby Red Squirt. Don't. That's my kick lately. Dude.
Really? I was
Ruby
like-
Red Squirt, man.
It's like out of all of the colas or drinks,
When was the last time you had a Ruby Red Squirt?
I
Yeah,
don't
get
know.
one. Get one.
okay?
They're fucking awesome.
Next week, instead of 12 beers, we're gonna have 12 Ruby Red sodas to drink.
Yeah, so certain acids cause the kidney stones. They were horrible. I thought I was dying.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
You said that passing them wasn't the hard part, though.
Actually, pissing him out was not a big deal.
Because
No.
you got that big hog in your pants.
It was
And you could fucking pass a baseball through that.
the painful part was when they were passing from my kidney into my bladder. That was fucking horrible. I honestly thought I was having like I thought my appendix had burst or something like that.
That doesn't feel good. I had that happen to me.
Never had that happen, but
It sucks.
I thought that's what was happening. I literally woke up and I was like, I'm going to the hospital right now. And if you know anything about me, that's very uncharacteristic.
Right.
So,
There's an Irish stereotype that, like, nothing is ever bad enough for you to go to the hospital. That's kind of
kidney
how we were
stones.
raised. It was like, if I wasn't... My dad, the day that my fucking appendix burst inside of my body, my mom was like, oh, Dusty's, like, not doing well. He stayed home from school. And my dad came home from work and was fucking pissed that he had to come home from work. And he's like, he's fine. He's fine. Nothing's going on. It's fine. I'm going back to work. And then I was like 8 years old, so I don't remember if I think I was barfing. I just remember really bad pain. And I remember specifically, my mom was like, I think we should just go to the emergency room and just make sure.
right.
And I remember saying to my dad, I'm really afraid to have surgery. I was like, I don't want to have surgery. I don't want to have surgery. And I'm a kid, like, screaming about, don't give me surgery. Excuse me, very gassy today. And I remember my dad saying, I promise you're not going to have surgery. And then I get to the emergency room, and they're like, his appendix is wide open, and he's going to die in, like, a half hour if we don't cut him open. I just remember, like, damn you! In my head.
Fucking lie.
Yeah. So yeah, unless you're like missing an arm or something, my family didn't take you to the hospital. Yeah. So.
I never went. Well, I went one time when I was a kid because I thought I broke my neck, but
You thought you
it's
broke
not a very fun or funny story. I was playing football when I was in like 5th or 6th grade, and
it? Just a stinger.
well, yeah, I got. It was supposed to be tag football, but I think like someone slipped into me or something and took my head up.
Yeah, I slipped into taking your fucking head off.
So I remember being on the ground. It was raining outside, and I couldn't. I don't remember if it was like I couldn't move because I couldn't move or because I was scared, but I just remember being frozen on the ground, and I just started bawling. And the ambulance had to come onto the
Oh Jesus.
and pick me up.
That's really scary.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I was fine. I was in a neck brace for like a day.
That sucks.
Forgot about that until right
Yeah.
now.
I forgot about it. I threw my neck out when I was a kid too, and I had to. My parents were going to Chicago for to see the Phantom of the Opera, and they were gonna take me, and I fucking I was at soccer practice like that morning, and like threw my neck out, and I had to sit at home with my grandpa and cry.
It's funny the shit kids cry about. Like
I want to go to the theater.
my daughter, I love my daughter, but she cries about the dumbest shit sometimes, and you just look at her and you're like, these are not real problems.
In the moment, though,
I know,
They
because I remember
are.
doing. I know. I remember being equally upset about dumb shit
yeah,
a lot,
fucking-
way more than I probably should have. So honestly, I was the biggest bitch as a kid. I would cry about
As
everything.
a kid.
Well, I'm quite a big bitch still, but as a kid, dude, I cried about everything,
yeah.
everything, for no fucking good reason.
What was her name? Not Sabrina. Did you cry when what's her face died?
When what's her face died,
The Mexican
Selena.
Selena.
No, I don't even. I still don't know a fucking Selena
Oh my
song.
god!
Dude. Okay, so
I'm so ashamed.
I'm sure
It was a big deal.
I cried when I watched was it My Girl,
Oh yeah.
the movie with
He got stung by too
was it
many
Macaulay
bees?
Culkin?
I think so. No, it was This is what God gave us the internet for.
This is what Google's for. Yeah, I cried like a bitch when I saw My Girl for the first time when he died from the fucking bees. Dude, I could not stop crying. I remember that. It has to be Macaulay Culkin.
It's not. It's a lookalike kid.
No, it's
Macaulay
fucking
Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin. Fuck off.
And Dan Aykroyd was in it. Oh shit! No wonder I love that
Is
movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis in it too?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't remember.
The only person in the it's called My Girl, right? And the only person who didn't have a career was
the girl?
The girl. Who the fuck is Anna Klumsky?
I don't know. Fucking click on her. We'll see what other shitty movies she's been in.
We'll find out what she looks like topless,
So
whether we want to or not.
I remember they made a sequel. I'm assuming she's not in it because having her in a sequel where another boyfriend of hers dies would be very traumatic for a little girl, don't you think?
Nobody gives a fuck.
I don't give a fuck, yeah. But
No,
anyways,
I mean about Macaulay Culkin dying.
dude, I did. I was torn up.
Really?
Well, yeah, because the whole thing was fucking sad. It's a sad movie. Fuck off. Don't judge me. Anyways. Yeah, so when I was a kid, I cried about everything.
Trying to think if I saw My Girl in the theater. I loved that movie when I was a kid, though.
I didn't see it in theaters. I think I saw it at a neighbor's house or something, but I remember my world was fucked up because of that.
The Land Before Time fucked with me.
Dude, Tree Stars? Man.
And
Yeah.
Bambi fucked with me. I was deathly afraid of Labyrinth, and one of Steph's favorite movies is Labyrinth.
And you're still scared of it?
The trash lady.
Yeah.
You know what scene I'm talking about?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, when she's running around through the dump and then goes into the trash lady's house or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like as if you're on an episode of Hoarders. And that person is like, "No, stay with me. Sleep in my trash." You know, that's what it's like. And it scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah. David Bowie was awesome in that movie, though.
You know what upsets me?
Is he's dead?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is his package is gone forever?
Wasn't that a codpiece in that movie?
It had to have been, dude. That thing's giant. It's like a fucking sock stuck down the front of his pants.
Yeah.
What upset you about?
I forgot now.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
even know what the fuck I was talking
See,
about.
this is what happens when I go off on tangents. I just fucking
I just want you to express yourself, Timothy.
like Madonna.
Yeah. Express yourself.
So back to what we were originally talking about. I'm favorable with masks and bands.
Yeah, you didn't even get
That's all I have to say about it.
It is Does it make the album sound better?
No, of course not. It doesn't make anything sound better. If you're a shitty band and you wear shitty masks, then it
But
doesn't
there's a
fucking matter.
demographic. There are those kids that
There
are
is
like,
absolutely
I
a
like
demographic
mask
for it.
bands.
Yeah.
And here I am, once again back to my favorite band. They fucking
Yeah.
dressed up and shit. But I hate it. Like, seriously, dude, just come out.
You don't hate it. Look, don't tell me for one
It's a
second.
character.
Absolutely,
it's a character.
And so you appreciate that part of it. It's a character. It's a little bit of an art piece. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Alice Cooper did it.
Alice Cooper did it, yeah. Alice Cooper was fun.
Kiss did it. And actually, my fucking list.
To be honest, Kiss is the best at it too. So
We're not going to get into my list. Say what you were going to say.
well, I was just gonna say Kiss is the best at it. Kiss is
They kind of started this shit.
well, yeah, but I mean the thing about Kiss is there are a million bands that are better than Kiss, but no one has ever promoted themselves the way Kiss did.
No, it's a business.
There have been a million people who have tried, but nobody's done it that well. Dude, motherfuckers had action figures,
Motherfuckers had action figures.
lunch boxes, like they did all that shit. Gene Simmons, Richard Simmons. Gene Simmons was a
Same
fucking
thing. Same dude.
he still is. He's still alive, and apparently he's quite the douche. But
Gene or Richard?
well, Gene,
Don't talk shit about Richard Simmons.
I wouldn't talk shit about Richard Simmons. Apparently, that guy hasn't left his house in like 4 years.
And he posted a photo. It's funny you bring this up because I was watching a podcast on YouTube.
Was it the Headliners podcast with Dusty and Tim? Because that's what I spent my week doing.
It's on bi-weekly.
It is bi-weekly, but I spent an entire fucking week watching that thing, editing it.
Then I'll stop giving you shit about
No, I'm just
fix this, do that.
No, that's not
you
what
spell
I'm
it
saying.
correctly.
It was a lot more work than I had anticipated. I thought I'd be able to slap it on and go, and
So
it
you
was
think
not
this
that
is
easy.
you're giving up already on week 2?
No, I have fun doing this. I enjoy doing this. This is fun.
Right. Okay.
So Gene Simmons or Richard.
I keep interrupting you with my horrible tangents. But,
No.
I was watching a podcast and Richard,
the dancey one.
Dick Simmons, he there was a documentary made about trying to figure out what happened with him because he completely left the public eye for years. And so there was a documentary made. Eventually, the fucking police station went to his house to double check and make sure he was okay, and he's A-okay. He's just old as fuck.
And doesn't like people anymore.
Well, he had his image, you know what I mean?
And he wants to keep up that
Right.
fit, active. That makes sense.
After they went to his house and found out that everything was okay and he wanted to keep everything private, he posted a photo to social media and everybody's like, oh, he's fine. He's just a little bit older, a little bit grayer, getting a little flabby. But the photo was from 4 years previous to when he was posting it.
Wow.
So things are probably not going very well for him right now. But
So he looks like shit.
probably. He's probably going to die. We all die.
Yeah, that's true.
And he looks like shit in his 80s. I look like shit in my 30s. So, he had quite a good run. It's time.
So this last year, we don't even have to keep it to this last year. But who died recently that just fucking bummed you out? Because it seems like so many people have died relatively recently, within the past year or two. And I know people talk about how 2016 and 2017 were terrible for it. And that's probably true. I'm sure the same amount or close to the same amount of people die every year. But which one kind of fucked you up?
Are you talking about,
Like celebrities. Yeah.
shit?
No, come on. We're not...
Lemmy.
Lemmy. Yeah, okay. That
Bowie.
makes sense. Bowie, yeah. Prince. Prince? Were you a big Prince fan? I feel like you would be a Prince fan.
I'm not a Prince fan. Yeah.
That's a shame.
And I get scolded regularly.
I'm not going to scold you for it. The only thing I scold you about is the Beatles, and that's not you. That's Stephanie. Who doesn't fucking like the Beatles?
They're the fucking Beatles, man.
Yeah, dude.
I could have the rest of every podcast for the rest of the fucking existence of the world
Talking about the Beatles?
about Paul McCartney. And then, in another fucking dimension, I could have all of those podcasts talking about John Lennon. They are They are music.
The thing about the Beatles is if you say you hate the Beatles, you haven't heard all of the Beatles. Because the Beatles were around for 9 years, and I think they made 9 albums, which, if you're a musician, you know that's crazy. And then 9 years, 9 albums, and they covered every genre of music.
Of rock music.
Of rock music.
And it's still...
And it holds up.
It's still ahead of its time today.
Their older poppy stuff is still fucking great.
Yeah.
The later, pretty edgy rock stuff was great. Their whole psychedelic stuff that has its own place. That's actually my favorite Beatles. Is the Sgt. Pepper album. But,
It's been an hour officially.
Yeah, I know. We're going to keep going.
Okay. I don't want to start the whole Beatles conversation because it literally will go on for another 2 hours. But
I know. But I'm just saying, my big...
I'm going to go piss.
Okay. My big beef
I'm
is
listening. And you all can listen to me pissed.
My big beef is that, people out there sit there and trash talk the Beatles, which is fine, because I think they trash talk the Beatles because they're so fucking famous, which, again, I understand. But if you're trash talking the Beatles... and you say that there's no Beatles music that you like, it's because you've never taken the time to find something that you fucking like. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Please don't edit out my piss.
No, I won't.
Okay. So, it's much like my distaste for Led Zeppelin. Imagine...
I don't like Led Zeppelin either, though.
Right, but the reason why I hate Led Zeppelin isn't because they weren't talented or I'm too cool to like Led Zeppelin. My issue with Led Zeppelin is that everybody fucking loves Led Zeppelin, and all I ever hear about is how awesome Zeppelin is, and everybody covers Led Zeppelin songs, and everybody has been sucking their dick for 40 years, and they're played on every single classic rock station ever. Mm-hmm. Every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's why I fucking hate it.
That's my problem with Nirvana.
If I were to stumble into these things myself...
Naturally, yourself, it might be different.
It would be a totally different situation. And not to... Well, kind of to change the subject off of the Beatles. But not to go back to my fucking list. But as we were talking about when it came to genres and music that you're into... I was into certain bands because of me discovering them organically.
Yeah.
It was never like a situation. My brother was into punk rock and was like, oh, here's, NoFX and here's AFI and like that shit. But I found a lot of the early punk rock stuff on my own. Mm-hmm. And that branched off into me discovering a lot of rockabilly by myself. And so... the whole point why I did this whole fucking list is because it comes down to this is how I personally discovered the genre. And you would have discovered the genre totally differently. So if I put Bauhaus, Joy Division, Christian Death, The Cure, Susie and the Banshees, Ministry, Killing Joke, Sisters of Mercy, so on, that is my quote-unquote goth genre. Mm-hmm. But your goth genre... is going to be totally fucking different.
Typo Negative, Marilyn Manson,
right.
9 Inch Nails.
But all of those people, kind of go back to the Depeche Modes and Love and Rockets and the Psychedelic Furs, and all of those people look back to Iron Butterfly and Black Sabbath and
it always comes back to Black Sabbath,
Cooper.
Man.
A lot of dark shit and a lot of metal does for sure. Yeah,
Black Sabbath's the greatest.
In my notes, they were pretty early. Their first album came out in 1970.
Black Sabbath?
Yeah.
I think 69, but yeah.
Cooper came out in 69.
I
Alice
think
Cooper's first album.
I think
that was my only note, was that Alice Cooper was like...
But I think they're wrongly credited. So I've actually seen this before where they say Black Sabbath was 70, but I really honestly think it was 69.
Really?
I don't know why, but I have that dead set in my head.
Because when I was there...
I wasn't there. I was not even close to being a glimmer in my dad's eye. But
that was a very nice way to word that. I've never heard it worded that way before.
I was definitely not alive. But I feel like I've done all the research, and I feel honestly like It was 69, but I could be wrong. Because you're not the first person to say 70 either.
Yeah, I mean, I only know. What does it fucking matter? First of all,
It doesn't matter at all, but that's just my...
Also, I only know based on what the internet tells me is the case. So I don't really fucking know what's going on.
You know they do the golden... I think it's called the Golden God Award or something every year now, and it's like they give it to a guitarist who is like the greatest guitarist or something, and it's Tony Iommi's hand. How awkward would that be to be like, yeah, my hand is a fucking award.
Award.
I'm sure they all come back to something super weird like that. Like the Oscar is probably something that was
I don't know.
dumb. But that'd be so random.
On that topic, I don't think that the Oscars statue is very cool. You know, like as far as like aesthetically, as far
Yeah,
as
it's just like this
trophies
little
go.
fucking mannequin that doesn't make any sense, right? Like,
Not to me. Is it supposed to be like the tragedy and comedy mask man? Like
that's not the Oscars, man. I think that's like, I don't.
no. I'm saying is like is that supposed to be one of either tragedy or comedy, or like is it supposed to be the man who's wearing the mask? That's the only thing I can think of.
As far as I know, it's just like some Art Deco, like statue of an indescript person, right? Doing
guess
this
so.
thing, isn't it? This thing? Where
No,
they
I think
hold
it's
their hand out, or
got his hands at his side, or either they're across his chest or something. But I don't know. I was talking to my boss about this week. She watched the Golden Globes. Is that the one where Oprah was?
that's the TV ones, I believe. Like,
It wasn't the Golden Globes. It was
because let's see, the Tonys are Broadway.
Broadway.
The Oscars or the Academy Awards, which are the same thing,
Yeah,
are movies
film.
and film. The Golden Globes, I thought, were television.
TV and film.
Okay.
Anyhow, all you fuckers that are watching this know and listening to it know exactly what I'm talking about. Oprah went on some fucking tangent. I didn't watch it. People are super stoked about her right now, which I
Oprah for president.
didn't know that she was still relevant.
She's not.
She retired from... My mom watched that show every single day. Her
so,
entire life.
from what I understand, she's not relevant. Like, she doesn't have a show. Like, she's not an Ellen or whatever
Right.
who still has their show, but she still owns, like, the Oprah company, or it's called...
Harpo.
Is that what
It's
it is?
her name backwards. Yeah. I'm telling you, my mom was like... My mom looked like a white Oprah.
I did not
and
know
was
that
the
that's
biggest-
what Harpo meant.
Yeah, it's Oprah backwards.
I didn't know that.
Did you know Harpo Enterprises? Or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, no, of course, I knew that, but I didn't realize that it was just fucking Oprah backwards. That's so goddamn lazy, man. That's so fucking lazy. Like, that shit drives me crazy. My dad is from a town in western Washington called Labam. It was named Labam because the mayor, or the first mayor's daughter or whatever, her name was Mabel. So it was Mabel backwards is Labam. I feel like that's fucking lazy.
Well, at least they did the... they took the time to fucking name it something else. Like, Steph's hometown, Laughlin, Nevada. You know why it's called Laughlin?
Because the guy was named Laughlin.
Don
I'm
Laughlin,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's lazy too. But at least that's openly
Also,
lazy.
Spokane is fucking lazy.
Spokane is a Native American...
Right, it's like, oh, we're going to take over this land from a bunch of Indians. What was their name? The Spokane... Oh, we're going to call it Spokane after the Spokane Indians.
Fair. But
Lazy.
I actually...
Same
so, the different tangent. I've always, like, found some sort of... Like, I've always thought the names in Washington... and we'll say like Idaho and Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, were really cool because they were named after Native American tribes and people and stuff like that. I always thought that was so cool because whenever you have somebody who coming from a different part of the country to this part of the country, they are confused as fuck. Like Snoqualmie, Snohomish, like Sammamish,
And Till I Come?
yeah, fucking. Dude, the names when people come to this part of the country
I still laugh at... How do you pronounce that?
I think it's Tilcum.
Tillicum?
Yeah, like Tilcum. Like,
So I moved
faster.
from the Midwest to here, and also in Wisconsin, everything is named after Indian tribes as well. So it's the same situation.
Yeah.
So you think that you're special, but you're not. Fucking
No, hold on. I'm just saying, like, the names over here seem more interesting than other names. I know, like, Milwaukee. We've all seen fucking Wayne's World. I'm sure that is Native American too, and I just think it's fucking interesting. Like, it's
Yeah.
There's
There's a lot over towards like the West Coast, like the Seattle area. There's a ton.
Dude, I love the names over there.
Yeah.
There's like lazy ones like Kent and SeaTac, but even Seattle, the name Seattle, it's fucking cool.
After an Indian chief.
Yeah.
It's depressing when you really come to
Well,
think about it. But
yeah, dude. Nothing.
me moving here from the Midwest. Go ahead. I didn't-
Nothing in history is not fucking depressing. There's nothing you can look back on and be like, oh, that was great. Like, even
The Industrial Revolution.
it was probably shitty for those kids who were losing their fucking fingers and all that shit.
Fuck 'em.
So, what I'm saying is, like, even like when people talk about, oh, Jesus, it's like, well, first of all, no. Second of all, that's a terrible story. It's a story about a shitty dad and shitty parents who let their kid fucking.
That's exactly what it is. It's a fucking story.
Well, yes.
Let's not get started on that.
No, that we're still trying to grow this. Let's not alienate everybody first. But
Santa Claus is a great story.
exactly, dude, I love great stories, man. We talked about this a little last time. Like, those things don't offend me because, as far as I'm concerned, like, they're great stories. But they're all fucking depressing. And if you want to call it history, it's still depressing.
It's true.
Everything in history is depressing in one way or another. Back to the Industrial Revolution. My middle name is Lowell.
Lowell. Yeah, I like that.
Lowell, Massachusetts is considered the birthplace of the Industrial
Is that
Revolution.
why you're named Lowell?
No, my middle name comes from my grandpa, I believe, and I can't actually tell you that for fact, but that's what I've always been told.
Well, your parents are still around. Why don't you ask?
Well, I've asked, but I've never asked my grandpa if his middle name is actually Lowell or not. I don't know that for sure.
I have the greatest redneck name ever. It's not as good as my mom had a good one.
Dustin.
Well, my nickname's Dusty, and my middle name is Dale.
That is
So
good.
Dusty Dale. Gonna go on down to the State Fair, Dusty Dale. And my mom was Sherry Lynn.
You should start wearing flannels.
I'm really awesome. I do wear flannel.
Well, you should wear more because that's something I want to see now.
But coming from the Midwest to going to college in Seattle, moving across the country, I was aware and used to things being named after the Native Americans.
Right.
Which was super fucking rad.
Until you got here and were super confused by the word Tillicum.
I'm not confused by the word Tillicum. It's just really super funny for me to say. So I wasn't confused as to... I knew exactly, what it was all about. It was probably named after somebody who was Native American or a Native American tribe or something like that. But there are names in the Northwest that are super funny to fucking say, like Till I Come. And I had to ask somebody how to pronounce it, and I had to ask you again tonight how to pronounce it because I have no fucking clue. But every time I see that sign when you're on the freeway, I'm like, I'm gonna keep driving on this road until I come. And also, there's Hyak, Hyak. You're from here. You're supposed to know this shit.
Yeah, there's so many fucking places, dude.
So,
But yeah, okay.
Steph's favorite thing in the world. I mean, we drive to the Seahawks games pretty regularly, and every time we pass that sign, I pretend like I'm sneezing. And so I won't even tell her she knows where Hyak is because every time
You'll sneeze.
I'll go, Hyak!
You realize that's a really bad dad joke, right?
It's super funny to me.
So I appreciate it.
Just like my Jeffrey Jommer.
God damn it, you're Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, no, that was good. I appreciate
Nobody else appreciated that joke.
Well, of course I would. I like...
God, bunch of fucking squares in this town.
Would you like to retell it? We're at the point in the podcast where no one's listening anymore, so...
I think there's a couple people that would.
Well, yeah.
Listen.
I know my sister's listening.
I hope your parents are listening.
My parents listened to the first one.
The whole thing?
My dad...
Oh my god, your dad's really gonna fucking hate me now.
No, my dad listened to it and told my mom that it was probably not appropriate.
Really?
Yeah, I'm assuming it was the accidental anal remark.
Or every other word being fuck and shit.
But it
and
wasn't. I listened to it for like 4 days straight. There wasn't all that much swearing.
I swear. I continue to swear quite a bit. There's a lot of things that I had written down that we will get to in the next podcast when Kyle's here, which will be cool. But we were talking about people listening. What were we talking about before that? Jeffrey Dahmer joke.
Oh, yeah, the dad joke.
People not listening this far into a podcast.
Oh, yeah, yep.
I think that we do a pretty good job of catching people's attention. We did on the first episode, at least.
Yeah, I thought so.
And I hope we continue to. But we were at work. I don't know how this came up in conversation, but I was talking to my maintenance guy, and I was something must have come up on my Facebook feed. I don't know what it was, but we were talking about Jeffrey Dahmer and my maintenance
How awesome he was.
and my maintenance guy goes, kind of a fucking homophobe a little bit, right? Goes, he's a fucking queer, right? And I'm like, I think he was into dudes. I heard he gives. I can't even... It's not a funny joke, and I can't finish it.
You heard he gives...
No, hold on. I think he's into dudes. Okay. You say Jeffrey Dahmer was gay, right?
Jeffrey Dahmer was gay, right?
Yeah, he was into dudes. I heard he gave killer blowjobs. Get it? Killer blowjobs?
It's because he killed people.
He sucked a lot of dick.
I'm sure he did.
And yeah, there's a song by an artist called Harley Poe, who is also a dark artist. All of his songs are about serial killers, about rape and murder and child abuse, and he has a song about his priest used to make him go down on him. And that's the band. Like, that's what their songs are about.
Right.
And anyhow, he has a song about Jeffrey Dahmer, and it's from the position of, I'm a single homosexual young man, and I go out to bars to find love and can't control myself when we get back to my house. And that was actually the situation I've heard.
Right.
We will talk about this next week. I don't want to bring this up in depth now, but it was one of those things about, like, I'm having sex with a man and I just cannot control myself, and you don't know where that fucking line is, and it would escalate to him strangling people.
Well, I know we'll talk about it, but I'm going to say this. I've found through much research, because I am interested in things like this, that I tend to sympathize with a lot of people who ended up being serial killers. Not in the sense where I think anything they did was right, but in the sense, well, with Jeffrey Dahmer, like, it was a thing where he wanted to be loved and he didn't want people to leave him so bad that he would kill them so he would have a piece of them. Like, that's fucking... It's terrible.
So sad.
But there's something kind of, like, romantic about that. You know what I mean? Like, it's got that, like...
Don't leave me. I want to eat your fucking dick. Is that...
Well, no.
I don't understand.
He would eat people to fucking get rid of evidence and shit like that.
Yeah.
Or to get closer to the person, which is also fucking kind of...
That's why I eat women's panties after I have sex with them.
You don't do that. You don't do that
I gnaw on them. I chew. I find the good stinky parts, and I fucking try to floss my teeth with the dirty panties.
Oh, God, I have the worst fucking mental image of that now. Thanks. I appreciate that.
I made your mom's panties, not your mom's.
Yeah.
I made your mama's panty joke this week. Also not popular. Who would have?
It's because you're not talking to the right people. That's what the problem is.
I just think my sense of humor just is a little offensive sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, okay, so a sense of humor should kind of push the line, shouldn't it? Like, at least I feel like it should. Like, I enjoy a dark sense of humor. I enjoy, if we don't make light of them, then they're too serious all the time. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't joke about something that's kind of fucked up, then you're putting it into this other place where
It's taboo.
Yeah,
Which is, there are certain things that need to be spoken about, and if it's spoken about from a place of humor, it is a lot less offensive and a lot not as taboo.
yes.
And a lot of people don't fucking understand that at all. And I think maybe I'm kind of hard to read because I'm very... I can be an asshole, and I can be very opinionated about politics and religion and sexuality and things like that. And I can see that can come off as being offensive, but I think that everything should be able to be joked about. It's really important for people to be able to find humor in the most fucked up situations to help you cope with.
Yeah, if you can't joke about it, man, I mean...
Yeah. I joke about my dead parents all the time.
I know you do, and it makes me a little uncomfortable.
But that's how I handle
I
the
know.
situation. You know what I mean?
But I don't want to be the person joking about it. That's how I guess it makes me feel.
Kyle does that shit. So, like, he's on the same page. So, for those of you who are listening, he's going to be coming on to our podcast here pretty soon. But the singer and, main songwriter and guitar player of Waste of Breath, my band, he gets it.
Yeah.
So he has both of his parents, but his dad is not doing great with some health situations, and it's none of my business to air. I'm not going to air out his dirty family.
I was going to say thanks for doing that, man. I'm sure he appreciates it.
But he understands that that's how I deal with shit, and he also understands that my sense of humor is fucking dark as shit. So I think it's important. That's how I handle things. So
right. And I think everything should be on the table to be joked about. Because at the end of the day, who fucking cares?
Yeah, really, as long as, like...
Don't get yourself in trouble, but, fuck
I don't even care about that. Like, I have certain people that I love and that are in my circle, and if you're not in the circle... There's definitely a line. Because now that I approach, much like Gene Simmons, I approach my band like a business. Mm-hmm. And there are lines that I cannot cross when I'm in business mode.
Yeah.
I feel certain ways about organized religions that I'm not going to say, like, Waste of Breath fucking hates this and fucking hates that. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I will separate my beliefs because when I'm talking about my band, it's my business, and I don't want to alienate people or things like that. Much like there's a lot of things I'm not going to say on this podcast. But within my little circle of friends, there's nothing is off the table. I'm going to say whatever the hell pops into my head. And even like when, your kids, when Scarlett and Venture are around, I have to like, oh, I just said that. I apologize. Because I just don't censor myself. That's just something I've never done. So.
Well, Scarlett's a good kid, so.
Yeah, hopefully I don't ruin her
no.
in any way. So, we're not going to do the music thing this week. Tim is holding the final mix of Waste of Breath's live album that came out this year. And we should wait to play that for when Kyle's here.
That might make more sense.
And we're going to hear some stuff from Snakes and Sermons, hopefully.
Yeah.
So we are now almost an hour and a half into the podcast, and I'm drunk and ranting, and you are sober and bored.
I'm neither of those things. This is a lot of fun for me. So
we do this even when there's not a microphone in the room.
I was gonna say that's like the best part is when you capture those things that we talk about just in general, anyways.
Yeah, I think that you guys let me know, the people who are listening at this point. I believe that possibly my personality comes off quite abrasive and annoying, and that this might not be the greatest thing for me to be on a podcast and saying all the things that I say.
See, I disagree. So here's the. I think that. Well, okay. When I first thought about doing this, my whole thing was like, we're two fucking idiots who are fairly opinionated, and I feel like most people would kind of get a kick out of listening to the two of us fucking talk, because what we are talking about right now, like everything we fucking said tonight, this is shit we just talk about in general. So like,
It's true.
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's interesting because you get a little perspective on what just goes on between two dumb fucking people who.
I like how you keep adding me into your idiot, dumb, stupid.
Fuck you. We are absolutely idiots, and I don't know. I appreciate it, and I hope everybody else fucking appreciates it too.
Well, like I said at the beginning of the hour, your douche nozzle smells really nice, by the way.
I know, right?
What is that shit?
It's my little vape pen because
Why
I'm
don't you
that
smoke
guy.
a cigarette like a man?
Because I don't smoke cigarettes.
You smoke a vape pen.
It's
It's the same thing.
I
only
smoke a vape pen like a little bitch.
going back to like you said earlier about you being a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
But Jesse said that he would listen no matter what. So hopefully he's still out there enjoying this. Hopefully there are other people that'll. Yeah, it kind of smells like cigarettes.
Yeah.
I inhaled a lot of that. But anyhow, we should be wrapping this up. I'm going to keep doing it. I know that the editing is a huge pain in the ass, and I will hopefully help you with that this week. But I'm going to piss my pants, so I'd like to end this thing.
Well, thanks for sticking it out with us, you guys. We love doing this. Thank you for listening.
Gotta pee so bad.
This has been Headliners with
Dusty O'Brien.
and Tim,
Fetters.
and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you. Goodbye.
Seacrest.
Seacrest. Every week we're going to do a Seacrest out bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, Seacrest out. Fuck off. I gotta pee.